Hey everybody. So I made a video last week boasting in Christ as my righteousness and not my own, and how I am dead in Christ, but alive to God in Christ at the same time, and that I myself am not improving because it's no longer I who live, but Christ within me. And I got some pretty nasty comments in the comment section of the video. I took them down so you aren't able to see them, but I have a little screenshot of one of the videos that I've been thinking about, and so I'm showing part of it throughout this video. But basically, this person is calling me a worker of iniquity, and that God will not take pleasure in me and telling me to depart from Him. So they're telling me that I'm not saved, and I'm curious what iniquity I've done that this person feels that they can participate in God's judgment of me. What are they trying to call me out saying that I've done? I guess they're saying I want to look good for the church, when in fact I was actually saying the opposite. They're saying that I don't want Christ to shine through me. I'm not really sure what it is that they think that I'm especially accused of that will make God say, depart from me. What is it that I'm not doing enough of? And how much of whatever it is that they think I need to be doing, do I need to do? I mean, there's no explanation or love and showing me what it is that I need to do in order to pass their litmus test. They just come and they're accusing me of wanting applause from others. They're saying that it's all about Jesus. But they blast me by my first name, saying that I'm saying it's all about me, when what I'm saying is it's all about Jesus. And then they tell me it's all about Jesus. Literally, it's incredulous. I mean, I delete it because it's just totally crazy talk. In that video and in this video, am boasting in Christ. If I speak in error, then by all means, correct me in love. We can do that in the body. That's a part of what the building of each other in the body up is. But that's not what these wolves are doing. They want to silence the gospel. They don't want to build up the body. They want to get us in our flesh. So I believed, I believed the gospel at a very young age. So I've been in Christ a long time. But like many of you, I got swept up in bad doctrine. For me, it's been just really varied doctrines, but the ultimate end of all bad doctrine has been to get my eyes off Christ and back on myself. We have an enemy who wants to steal, kill, and destroy, and he does that by getting our focus off Jesus. He steals our joy, our confidence, our peace, and gets us under condemnation, flesh, and pride. So when I share on this channel, my intent is to encourage and build up the body and build up my own faith as I go and share and learn. And in light of that, I've been continuing to think about Colossians 3, thinking about setting my mind on things above, things of the Spirit, and how the Christian life is one of faith. And as we set our minds on things above, we're taking our mind off ourselves. And this is walking in the Spirit. This is how the death of Christ is applied to us. The law of sin, it still resides in our members. Yes, even in Christians, the law of sin still resides in our members. And you can see this if you check out Romans 7. But what it does, it can grab onto us. It pulls our minds away from the things that are above, and puts it on things that are on the earth. Verse 5 in Colossians 3 says, fornication, uncleanness, inordinate affection, evil lusts, covetousness, which is idolatry. This can happen to us as believers. Like I said, Romans 7 tells us that we have sin dwelling in us that isn't even of us. We're under sin in a blanket sense because of the fall of humanity, the sin of Adam. Excuse me. But when we are aware of the sin, we need to remember there is now, therefore, no condemnation for those who are in Christ Jesus. So Did Jesus pay for all our sin, past, present, and future, or did he not? Do we believe this or do we not? And then what do we do when we see sin like this in our members? So verse 5 of Colossians 3 says that we mortify these sins, but how do we? Do we do this by following the law or trying to be better? No, it doesn't work. I mean, we all have tried and seen that it doesn't work. We're walking this out and mortifying our flesh by faith, which means we agree with what God says. These were ways that we once walked in. But because of Christ, I'm no longer a slave to walk in these ways. We know it is possible to walk in the flesh as a believer, but we mortify the flesh by the Spirit, not through our own efforts. If we don't mortify the deeds of the flesh, then we can walk in condemnation and a spiritual dullness or weakness. And if we walk in these things we're warned against as believers, we are not children of disobedience subject to wrath. Like this person trying to tell me to depart, that God is going to tell me to depart from him. I'm not saying that I want to walk in the ways that God tells us to mortify, but God does not tell somebody who has the testimony of Christ to depart from him. We who are in Christ are not heirs of wrath. The wrath of God is for those who are walking apart from Christ. They're in disobedience. Jesus took on wrath for us who believe, so we cannot consider ourselves children of disobedience by what we do or don't do. If we believe on Jesus alone, we are his children and benefit from his work by being co-heirs in the gospel. The wrath of God rests on those who are apart from his Son. So when we see the list of things like this that God hates, we understand more of God's heart. When we find ourselves in the flesh, because we can be in the flesh, then we agree with God that he hates those things. And this is no longer who we are because we are in him. We set our minds back on him. We need to learn how to do this. It's what we call walking by the Spirit. It's what we learn in Romans 5-8. This is literally done by what the beginning of this chapter in Colossians says, setting our affections on things above. We walk in the gospel and spiritual truth, reminding ourselves of who he is and who we are in him. So back to that message that this person left on my video, it's so absurdly interesting that they're telling me I am a worker of iniquity and telling me I need to put off things, like it says in Colossians 3, verses 8 and 9, like anger, wrath, malice, blasphemy, filthy communication, lying. They're telling me I'm guilty. Well, they are doing those very things to me and denying the testimony of Christ in my life. So they're doing the things they accuse me of not doing, which they say are condemning me and sending me to hell. It's very interesting. What sends us to hell is, yes, it is our sin. We are condemned apart from Christ, but we don't get uncondemned by undoing our sin on our own. Jesus is the one who paid the price. And so we are literally saying that Christ is our life. We're talking about putting on the new man and putting on Christ. We're no longer associating with the Adam nature in us, but with Christ. He is all in all. We dispense Christ to one another. We don't dispense ourselves to one another and how amazing we are. We're expressing Christ to the body. As it says in verse 10, it's in renewal and knowledge of Jesus Christ. That's how we do this. We put Adam to death, we put on Christ, and we do this through believing the gospel. We believe what is true of Christ in us. And this is how we walk in the Spirit. It's not about us getting saved over and over. It's about a continual faith expression of Christ, that we are praying, worshiping, speaking, and singing Christ as life to one another and to ourselves. That's the dwelling of the word of Christ richly in us. This is walking worthy of him because his will is that we are seeking him. As a child, as a body together, we shed our own identity because we are dead, and we value Christ as all.